Cool. Hey, thank you for taking a minute out today. It's great to meet you, and I want to begin our conversation with COVID. I know Florida responded in a very different way than the rest of the country, but ultimately, how did you get through that time period, and how did it affect the way that you live your life now?
Yeah, so COVID for us was very, very unique, especially in my business. So I'll give you a snapshot of my business. The day before the country shut down, okay, I had a 1,900 square foot facility. I had 4 employees, and we were getting about 7 to 10 calls a day. What happened is the country shut down. My company actually went to 300 calls a day, every day, 7 days a week. I went from 4 employees to 38 employees, and I went from 1,900 square feet to occupying 65,000 square feet. So it was just a pour of business. I ended up becoming the sixth fastest growing company in Tampa Bay in 2021, off of 2020, basically, when the pandemic hit in March. So a lot of it was, to be honest with you, I just didn't have a lot of time to react to COVID because it was a pour of business for us. So much business that in 3D printing, additive manufacturing, you have to remember it's very, very new. Okay, so there is no school for training in 3D printing. In this type of business, there's no policies, procedures, manuals. I mean, I've created this. Like, I'm one of those guys that is a 100% true entrepreneur. I mean, I still wake up sometimes and I'm like, why didn't I just buy a McDonald's? Everything's figured out. Like, there's manuals, it tells you how to do everything, right? But no, I got into 3D printing, additive manufacturing. And just so everybody knows, all your listeners, 3D printing is additive manufacturing. So a normal person knows it as 3D printing. A Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 manufacturers know it as additive manufacturing, but it's the exact same thing. So if you hear me saying that, that's what it is. But no, so for us, it was like literally a storm. It wasn't the calm moments before the storm. It was a storm, and it was filling bodies within my organization to be able to keep up.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do every day on a daily basis. I'm going to do that by asking. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day. One of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I create more. I mean, I may not create more, but I do create more. I give people the tools of 3D printing, additive manufacturing to make this world a better place. Okay. So literally 3D printing now is doing so many things, from 3D printing houses to 3D printing automotive parts to 3D printing clothing to 3D printing shoes. So we are in a revolutionary time where 3D printing is changing the way we prototype and do manufacturing. And it's allowing somebody, in the beautiful thing with what you just said about a younger person. Imagine this, and this is one of the reasons why I got into it. You can draw something on a napkin and make it come to life.
Yeah.
You can draw something on a napkin and make it come to life. And that is just an amazing thing. So you can think of something, and instead of having to spend an enormous amount of time, effort, and money, you can literally use 3D printing to create something or to make it better. So all those types of things.
So when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was in the third grade, mine was, I believe, literally, it was, for in my head, it was I wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted to be in law enforcement. So that's what I wanted to do at in the third grade. I wanted to. I was always the type of person that wanted to help people, but I looked at law enforcement as a respectful, field, of people that were serving, the community.
So take me back to where you were born and raised, and how did these seeds of being an entrepreneur and being a leader and being as highly driven as you are, how did all of these kind of get planted into you and evolve into who you are today and all of the things that you succeeded at?
Yeah, so mine was, my mother raised me. It was a single parent mom. She raised me and my sister. And she worked three jobs literally to support me and my sister. So it came from really humble beginnings. Like, we didn't have everything. We weren't, I didn't have everything I could ever want. It was my mom worked really hard to give us everything. My father was not around. I grew up in Houston, Texas. And my father had kind of left when I was younger, and believe it or not, had moved to the bottom of Texas in Mexico, Matamoros in Brownsville, Texas, and he just, he never came back. And I ended up at the age of 15 years old. My father had asked me to come see him and get to know him, and my father was a 100% functioning alcoholic. And what that means is he could drink from the second he woke up in the morning till the second he went to bed, but he could function and he could work and do things like that. But literally, I'll never forget. I mean, I spent a year with him down in Brownsville, Matamoros, before leaving and going to Florida. So I was actually born in Tallahassee, Florida, moved to Houston 6 weeks after I was born, was in Houston my childhood, which was at that point in time was absolutely fabulous because the community that I was in, again, my mom was a single parent mom, but the entire neighborhood knew like my mom was raising me and my sister, and they looked out for us. It was like block parties. I mean, it was just an unbelievable, so different than nowadays. I would say it was just an unbelievable childhood of everybody knew everybody and everybody helped everybody, and everybody was just really so solid and nice to each other. So I had a great upbringing when it comes to that. Um, but literally, my father at 15 years old, I was so wanting to get to know him. You're a young man. You never had the guidance of a male figure in your life, and I'll never forget. And I had no idea what these things meant. But my father sat me down. He said, "You carry my last name," and he said, "You need to live your life with integrity, moral values, honor, respect." And at 15 years old, you don't know what that means, but it ends up, long story short, it ends up changing the way you are older because that sticks with you. And then when you start understanding with integrity, moral values, honor, respect, the only thing we have in this world is our name. Like, if you destroy your name, you have nothing. So it's your reputation, it's who you are, that stuck with me tremendously and evolved into who I am today. Unfortunately, me and my father, we parted ways at 15 years old. I spent a year with him, came back to my mother, and a couple months before I graduated, he ended up passing away. So, he was in my life for a very short point in time, but he made a very big impact on who I am today.
But ultimately, who was the hero, the inspiration for you in your life to do all these things you've done?
My mom, my mom working so hard. I said I graduated high school with a fourth grade reading level. I couldn't read or write. People call me, they said I was never going to do anything. And my whole thing was making my mom's life easier. Like, making my mom's life easier was my 100% goal. I just wanted to help her because she had worked so hard to provide for me and my sister, that was my destiny, and I was going to find the way. And I literally found, after my father, but like when I graduated high school, I knew I was never going to go to college. And I ended up finding mentors along the way. I clutched on to people that were successful, and I finally found one that really took to me. And he sat me down and he said, "You learn in a different way, Roy. Like, you learn in a different way, but you're not stupid." And it made an impact in me that allowed me to become the man I am today. So I think it's a lot of things, but definitely my mom was the biggest. And then having mentors, even now, having mentors in your life are just incredible things. They are able to help you tremendously.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now, whether it's in business or otherwise, that you find fascinating or you could learn something from, who would that be?
Um, I would say Nelson Mandela. I would love if he's not here now, but man, that guy made such an impact and was so incredible. Um, to have ever had the opportunity to sit down and speak to him, I think would have been absolutely remarkable.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice I ever got is, is silence the noise. Silence the noise around you. Don't pay attention to anybody else. Know that you have it within you, and everybody has it within them to be whatever they want to be incredible. So, and nowadays, more than anything, I that lives within me, man, is there's so many things that people just listen to that they just don't need to listen to. I mean, wake up in the morning and turn on something motivational. Don't turn on the news. Turn on something motivational that can actually bring you, joy and start your day in a positive way. So it's those types of things. So I absolutely say silence the noise of any type of negativity around you, and then you push through whatever you need to push through.
So what is it that gets you up every day? What is it that motivates you, that gets your adrenaline going, that helps you succeed in business and evolve as a human being? What is that collective gas in your tank every day?
So I would put that in two different phrases, right? Or two different ways. I'm gonna say what it is now, but I almost passed away in 2021. Okay. I uh I was in the hospital. Um I was in a fight for my life. The doctor walked in, said he didn't know if I was going to live or die. He literally looked me in the eye. And at that point in time, it really changes who you are in this world. And people ask me, they say, well, how can I explain this to somebody that has never been through where you don't know if you're going to live or die? And the only way I explain it to any listener is imagine me, and I'm going to say it in the most respectful way, but imagine me kidnap you and take you out to a field and throw you in a hole and you give you 2 days worth of food and really say, like, I don't know if I'm going to come back, right? And you're just sitting in this hole and all you have is like your thoughts. There you can scream, you could yell, you don't have any communication with anybody. And I was in this hospital bed, and it was during COVID, so I couldn't have my wife, I couldn't have any family, I couldn't have any friends. I was in so much pain that, sir, you could have walked in the room and said, I can stop the pain, but I need to cut off your arms and legs. And I would have said, cut them off. That's how much pain I was in. So all you're doing is laying in this hospital bed and you're replaying your life, right? You're replaying everything that you have been through and everything that you have done. And it really changes who you are and changes your outlook on who you want to be and what you want to do in this world. So mine was the biggest impact was me and my wife is a breast cancer survivor, and unfortunately, we were unable to have children. Okay. So, um, we tried in vitro, we tried adoption. Those are longer stories, but it just didn't work out. So God's plan was not for me to have children. But when I was laying in this hospital bed, I said, how do I change people? How do I make a difference? And it's the things we do on this planet while we're here and the people that we affect and the legacy that we leave. So I started my career in the car business selling cars, and I was very, very successful. Okay. I made really good money. I took care of people before, during, and after the sale, but I'll never ever forget. And this is a really interesting story. A lady came in to buy a vehicle, and she had two kids. And people have come in, ladies have come in, everybody has come in. But this lady came in one day and she had two kids and she couldn't buy a car. She didn't have enough money, didn't have good enough credit. And we had just took in this 1994 Dodge Caravan. We had took it in. And for some reason, that day, at that exact time in my head, I went to my manager, and I said, I want to buy this vehicle and I want to give it to this lady. Right. And my manager goes, "What are you, crazy? What is wrong with you? Are you out of your mind?" And I said, "No, I really want to do it." He's like, "You're no." And he's like convincing me not to. And I said, "No, I'm going to sell me the vehicle and I'm going to give it to this lady." And I don't know what it was, right? I don't know. I was young. I was making over six figures a year. And I bought this vehicle and I still, you don't know what it means until, I gave her the vehicle. She's, crying. She said, "You've changed my life." She used to come in, bring me lunch. She would sit down with me. She would change my life. And, I was in my young 20s, right? And I'll never ever forget this, right? So I changed her life, but when I was in bed, almost passing away, I said, well, like, that was one of the biggest things that I did. Like, I've built companies. I've built multi-million dollar companies. I became the sixth fastest growing company in Tampa Bay. But what meant more to me is how I changed this one person's life.
Yeah.
Right? Like how, like I'm sitting there and I'm like, what have I really done? What have I done with my life that I've changed, I've done, and I've affected somebody that I know that I affected. And that was it. And it didn't like, and I looked back and I said, why didn't I do that more? Like, why did I not do that more? Why, if you have the ability to help somebody, and me is, I can donate, I do charities. Like I said, my wife's a breast cancer survivor. We help people. We're very humbled. We want to leave the world a better place than we found it.
Yeah.
But it really made a difference in me in that point in time, and said, you know, decide in your life how you're going to leave this place and where you're going to do. It's the people that you affect on this planet while you're here. That's really what I could tell you.
But it's that moment that you're talking about that probably gave you that strength because while you were in the hospital bed and you were looking at your fate, there had to be a love that you have for this existence that overrode anything that biologically they were saying was going to happen to you. Your will and your desire to stay on this planet has to be something that was much greater than anything anybody was going to tell you.
Yeah, because the will to live is so much greater than the will to die.
Yeah.
Like, the will to live is so strong. And I'll never forget, you have to remember, like, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I truly believe that. And at that point in time, it was like, imagine you get mugged, right? And somebody mugs you, but they beat you and they put you to the ground, right? And this is how I felt. Like, I felt like God had beat me to the ground because I'm laying in this hospital bed. And then I start getting a little bit better, but then he comes back and like, the mugger decides, for some reason, maybe he's crazy. Like, he comes back and he decides to kick you again and punch you again, and make sure you can't get up. And then you again, you're okay. You woke up again, like you passed out because somebody was beating on you, right? And you went unconscious, and then you woke up again and you're trying to get up again and he beats on you again. I just wouldn't let it take me. I just said, like, I'm not ready to leave. And I said, if you allow me to exist on this planet, I'm gonna do great things. I'm gonna do great things. I want to affect as much people as I can. Um, so I mean, that's really what it is. But yes, it's resilience. And I've had it my whole entire life. And that's what's so important for people to know nowadays in this world. Like, silence the noise, and literally find people that you can be around that give you positive feedback, right? And then embrace everything that you can, and have the will to push forward. And anybody can do anything. Like, I graduated high school with the fourth grade reading level. I mean, I couldn't read or write, and I'm running a multi-million-dollar company. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not special. There's nothing different about me than anybody else. The only thing I had was people that lifted me up and told me I could do something. Um, so if you can do that for other people, I think it's great. Now, of course, life comes into play, right? We have responsibilities, we have bills, we have different things. So, you have to decide, you have to cut out time and you have to cut out pieces to be able to help people. And then some people, do they really want to be helped, right? So, I mean, they have to have the will to want to be helped. The other day, I can just give you a quick thing here. The other day, a guy, a business owner, he sat down with me. He asked me for my time, right? He sat down with me and I spent about 2 hours with him and I gave him, 2 pages of tasks to do. And I said to him, I said, when can you complete these? Because I really want to help you. I want to get you to the next level. When can you complete these? And he says, Roy, I can have them done in 2 weeks. And I said, well, please understand, like I even asked him, what time you wake up in the morning? He says 6 a.m. I said, well, make sure you wake up at 5:30. Take that 30 minutes. I don't care. Go hide in the closet, but get this done because you're asking for my help. And I gave him 2 hours of my time, which is very valuable, right?
Yeah.
You need to manage your time as a CEO of companies and different things. And 2 weeks go by and I don't hear from him. 3 weeks go by, I don't hear from him. And then all of a sudden I just run into him at the supermarket and he said kind of excuses, right? And I said to him at that point in time, I just looked at him. I said, "No problem, no problem." But I said, "Just understand if you want to continue with me, I'm gonna have to charge you." And he looks at me and he's like, and I said, and I said, if I would have charged you for those 2 hours, right, you would have got it done. So sometimes you've got to really, sometimes it's pushing people in a different way, but he would have took it more serious because I was like, my time's valuable. So if you want to connect with me again, like you're gonna have to pay me because like I did that and I would have continued to do that, but it's lessons even that I learned, right? I've got to manage my time. That's time I could help I could mentor a young child, right? That's time that I could spend with my wife who loves me more than anything in this world. So you really got to manage things and sometimes you got to push people in a certain way. And I'm not saying it's money. Like I'm not driven by money, but
Sure.
it's holding people accountable for their actions.
Absolutely. So, of all of these things that you've done in your life and overcome and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
Um, well, one of the, I- what am I the proudest of? Um, you know, I, it's very hard because I've done a lot of things. Um, last year I ended up helping. His name is Thaddeus Bullard. His stage name is Titus O'Neil. He's a WWE wrestler that lives here in the Tampa Bay area, and he built a school, and I helped him build that school. It's a middle school. It's a public school. It was one of the most rundown schools in Tampa Bay, and I was able to help him build that school because a Fortune 500 company decided to pay for the whole school, but I took the time out with him and helped him build it out for the children. So that was one of the things. But I really like that because I know I'm affecting people, but I really like affecting people on a one-on-one basis. Like I mentored a young gentleman from 15 years old and and helped him. And next thing you know, he's on BattleBots. Like he's got his team on BattleBots, and now he's going to college and different things. And we're all 18 years old. And I sat down one day with him and I said, he could have gone to Harvard, but his last year he decided to be a senior, and just have fun. And I said, it's okay. Like it's okay. So he could have, but he would have had to maybe miss out on the enjoyment of just being a senior, you know what I mean? But he's smart enough that he could have gone, he could have got it. So it's guiding people. I think is one of the things definitely.
So at the end of the day, everyone out here has a perception of you. There's all these circles of people, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone around you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, I think I'm a guy that lives with integrity, moral values, honor, respect. I think that no matter what, I'm gonna stay true to who I am. I want people to know who I am, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters truly is like you said, your family, your friends, your close individuals, your business, your people that are on your team. I will always tell you, like, I hate the word boss. I hate that word. I don't think there's a boss of anybody in this world except for the man upstairs. So I call myself a leader of a team for my team here, like people that work. Like I'm the leader of a team, and we're all team members. And I look at ourselves that way. I don't, I'm never gonna try to control somebody, and I never want to be controlled. And there was a time earlier, and it's a little bit of a story, but that's why I said I don't like the word boss, because somebody said, like, I got you, I'm your boss. And it made me feel like nobody ever has me. You know what I mean? Nobody ever has anybody. Like, and now we all know that more than anything in COVID. I lost an employee, and I he didn't pass away. So I lost an employee. This is a pretty interesting thing. I lost an employee that one day came to me, and he said, Roy, I love working with you. But I've decided, I want to, I actually built a van, and I want to do van life. And at one point in time, he wanted to, grow and different things with me, but it was after COVID, and he wanted to do van life. And I looked at him and I said, man, you only live one life. If that's what you want to do, like, I want to help you. I want to help you. I'm very happy if that's what's going to make you happy, you only live one life, man. You got to be happy, and especially work. Like, we work, right? You got to enjoy what you do every single day. You got to love it, because most of the time you're around this more than even your family or your friends. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from mentorship as well, is love what you do every single day. And you only live one life. And if you don't like it, I've never done anything that I don't truly enjoy. Like, if I, for some reason, decided that this wasn't my purpose, I would figure out a way to do something else. Like, if I didn't love what I do every day.
So if anyone wants to delve into your world, reach out, learn more about what you're doing, any of the myriad of things that go on, where can they go? Where's the best place?
Yeah, so right now I'm on a new goal. Um, I've realized, to help more people, I've got to build up my social media. I've got to be able to do public speaking. So all of these types of things I'm starting to get into. I'm starting to learn how to do public speaking. I'm starting to learn how to build up my social media. So I want to literally give a lot of information back by my Instagram account. So I would say, go to Roy Kirchner at Roy Kirchner on Instagram. And then for my business, Ultimate 3D Printing Store and Services. If you're interested in additive manufacturing, 3D printing, if you want to know more about it, if you want to explore what we do, you can go to our website, which is www.u3dps.com. U as in umbrella, the number three, D as in dog, P as in Paul, S as in Sam.com. So it's just a abbreviation for Ultimate 3D Printing Store, but u3dps.com.
What an amazing story, Roy. Thank you, man. What a great, just there's so much that goes into who you are. Thank you for taking that time out today to be raw and to put your story out, and best of luck with everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Take